Hello everybody and welcome back to Dune Spice Wars. We've got some spicy news to cover today. Here it is in a nutshell. Dune Spice Wars release date reveal is coming soon. Now I know what you're thinking. A reveal of a reveal. Just what I needed. But unlike recent Civilization 7 news, insert cricket sounds here, Dune Spice Wars have actually given us a lot to cover. And while some of it may have been leaked and discovered by delving into Steam, including the release date that is, I'm stoked to say, potentially as early as next month. More on that in a little bit, especially because next month, at the time of recording, is but only a few days away. Obviously, I'm pretty excited about that. We've also got other things to cover, including the announcement of the most recent faction. The announcement of the final faction, the fourth out of the fourth that we'll hear of before the game releases in early access. We have more information on that as well. The Dune Spice Wars news doesn't stop, everybody, so let's jump straight in. Firstly, a quick note, the gameplay you're watching you may have seen before. I've actually done a breakdown of it already on my channel, so if you want to get the ins and outs, the details of what we're seeing and looking at, you can go back and check out that video. However, as I say, this video is not about that. It is about this news. I'm going to start with the juicy stuff around release dates and publishing and early access, and then in the second half of this video we'll talk factions, including unique units, and how the faction will actually play in the game. Without any further ado, let's jump in and talk the spicy Dune Spice Wars news. First up, the game is done. Quote, the game is pretty much done for us development-wise, end quote. Quote, we're entering the big and complex QA phase, that's quality assurance, to be sure to release the game as good as possible. We're getting closer and closer. This is great news. We don't have, hopefully, unexpected, stupid delays out of a studio due to the complex global climate or supply chains or staff shortages, whatever it may be. It sounds like this game is actually ready for release, my god. But there's more. When? Oh boy. Let's have a look. And while it's speculative, thanks to an internal leak from release dates on Steam as recorded by SteamDB, we can see that there's an estimated release for Dune Spice Wars here. You can see it on screen of less than a month away, April the 26th, 2022. Now, it's important to note, and the caveat is here on screen as well, this could easily change. Of course, as I've already mentioned, the global climate, among other things, is a little uncertain right now, so I wouldn't go booking that week of annual leave you've saved up just yet. But maybe plan a cheeky sick day for April the 26th. Hey, not official advice. You do what you want to do your own research. Anyway, I think that that's really positive news. This has been leaked, it's clearly in the system somewhere. Either way, when you combine this 26th of April release date with the fact that we have quotes from the team themselves saying that the game is done and they're entering a likely lengthy, to be sure, but also surely supported by public testing, alphas, betas, etc., the quality assurance phase. They'll likely do some internally, I'm not an expert on this by the way, and then of course they'll look to push it out wide, a beta. Which brings us to our next piece of news, and while this one isn't exactly hot off the press, I think it flows nicely from the rest. How will Dune Spice Wars release? Okay, you've told me when it probably will come out, and you've told me that the game is basically done, but Jumbo, what will it actually look like? Well, a lot of these details have been kept relatively under wraps. However, if you saw my last video on Dune Spice Wars, which was, I admit, a hot minute ago now, I broke down their Ask Me Anything that they did on Reddit, and they signaled, just like I signaled at the start of this video, that it will be indeed an early access release on Steam. It just makes sense, particularly as they enter that quality assurance phase. And let's be real, what major release, particularly in this genre, but not exclusive to this genre, of course, hasn't had at least a lengthy beta period? Think Humankind, for example. Of course, that's just one of many. I'm really excited. And actually, I have to be honest, it seems like just good news. A little speculative around the edges, of course, like any sort of leak inspired by Ask Me Anything's pulled together from different quotes from different places is. But at the end of the day, this information has come from reliable sources. PC Gamer has reported on it, and it's come straight from the developers themselves. So I'm feeling really happy and optimistic for this game. The next big thing to cover is the role of the different factions inside of Dune Spice Wars. Now, relatively recently, although I admit I dropped the ball a little on this one, we were introduced to the Smugglers, Who are the smugglers? You can read about it here. There's lots of lore buried within this. It's not actually lore that I'm completely over either. I'm not coming from a huge Dune fandom perspective. I come from the strategy game, the 4X perspective instead. Not that the two are mutually exclusive, of course. But if you'd like to find out about who the smugglers are, and indeed their leader, Ismar, there you go. What I'm more interested in unpacking today, though, are the unique units and counselors within this faction. The counselors themselves are, quote, dependable professionals who can craft inside and out. And you can see they each have sort of different skills that will play into how this faction plays, the counselors themselves. More importantly, though, if we move down to this general gameplay section, I think you'll start to get a feel for not only what this faction looks like, but maybe about Dune Spice Wars as a whole. I think you can extrapolate some stuff out from this and get a feeling for what the game actually looks like. The smugglers will start near the polar region in the game, which makes you apparently likely to encounter other factions early on. This can be profitable for them though, because of course the smugglers are specialists in, quote, optimizing their economic outcomes. Dollar bills, baby. Sounds good to me. They're also renowned for their rapid and meticulous looting of even the smallest wealth. I might be comfortable with them. But there's more to unpack here actually, because also their unique units are super interesting. I won't dwell too long on this, but maybe once we have the next faction announced, I could do more of a deep dive analysis. Let me know if you'd like that. I could compare all of them, try and extrapolate how the game will play, and get a better feeling for what kind of unique units we'll have. But take a look here. You've got scavengers, you've got wreckers, you've got snipers, you've got free company, and a combat drone. Of interest, scavengers, opportunistic killers, prefer weak, starving units with their sharpened blades. Strength increases as their target supplies diminish. Interesting. Take on a logistical kind of scout/warrior unit. Then you have wreckers who use chemicals. Yikes. Snipers, a long-ranged unit inside of this class. Sounds cool. Free company, not one that I'm super familiar with, but they are the most famous assassins and bounty hunters in the Imperium. So there you go. And then finally a combat drone. How could you not like an autonomous fighting combat drone? Either way, I think that this tells a little bit about this game and the kind of unique units and combat that we will see. Of course, we'll have to wait until we can actually get our hands on it to see exactly how that plays out. When will that be? Well, best inkling we have is very soon, i.e. April. I should also note that the developers in their Ask Me Anything signaled this as well. They said it will be sooner than you think. Combine that with the leaked release date, the Steam data, and the fact that we're seeing a new faction or a house like this released to us, as you can see here, by these dates, roughly every 2 or 3 weeks. It wouldn't surprise me if early April saw a final announcement on some gameplay, some units, some general gameplay, and of course the lore behind this final faction. And then, I suspect, an open beta to follow. Maybe closed, maybe open. We'll have to wait and see. Either way, I'll definitely be adding this to my wishlist. How have I not already? And I will see you in the next video. It's an exciting year, let alone quarter, for Space 4X strategy games. I'm excited to see how they play out. Of course, we have Falling Frontier, Terra, Invicta. Oh man, there's a lot of good stuff on the cards, everybody. Do subscribe if you'd like to hear more, and I'll see you next time.